I used to think that an aesthetic body was about having a six-pack. I do sit-ups, crunches, and planks every day and tense in the mirror because six-pack meant I had an aesthetic body. This could not be further from the truth. Very thin people, they often have abs because there's no fat there, but they still don't look that great because there's no V-taper. What really makes a difference is the shoulders. You should only opt for building these sexy abs once you have strong enough shoulders to give you that V-taper look. Let's think about why is it so important for the aesthetic physique for you to have well-rounded, developed shoulders? Because the shoulders are what gets seen when people look at you, right? It's the upper half of your upper body. So that's your upper chest, your shoulders, your traps, your neck, your jawline, your face. This is what people see when they meet you, when they shake your hand. So if you have a very well-developed upper half of the upper body, then you'll just instantly look better. Then that will give you that V-taper look where the top half of your upper body is wider than your waist. And that, in evolutionary terms, was seen as a sign of athleticism, seen as a sign of capabilities and functionalities that were seen as desirable traits. That's why it's probably one of the few characteristics that stands the test of time in terms of what makes an attractive masculine body. In more practical terms, let's say, you wear a shirt or, you're getting dressed. If you have developed shoulders, it frames your clothes in a much more appealing way. What is the best way to train to develop your shoulders? And the reason I'm making this video is because I went to the gym today and I see so many guys, Korean guys actually, that start their workouts with lateral raises. And this brings me to the first point, which is compound movements versus isolation movements. There are two kinds of exercises in the gym, compounds and isolation. And compound movements are any exercise that use multiple muscle groups and multiple joints at the same time. So for instance, bench press, pull-ups, rows, squats, deadlifts, these big compound movements. And if you've seen my other videos, you'll know that 80% of any result that you get in the gym will be from compound movement. Same with bodyweight training. 80% of your results will come from the big compound movements. So it's a good idea to focus on the compound movements for muscle growth. And it's like killing two birds with one stone, because when you do a compound movement, not only are you training that muscle, you're training another muscle with it, and almost always your core and your abs as well. Isolation movements, on the other hand, are movements, like the name suggests, that isolate one muscle group, like the bicep curl. You're just isolating the bicep muscle, and while it can be good in pumping blood into that specific muscle group or adding that extra little pump or that extra little growth, it's not actually the most effective way to grow that muscle. It's like the icing on the cake. It's like the parmigiano on top of the pasta. Yes, it makes it good, but do you really, really, really need it? Next natural question is, what are the best compound movements for your shoulders? The best compound movement, by far, hands down, is the overhead press, also known as the standing press or the military press. It has various different names, but it's when you're standing and you have a barbell and you press straight up above your head and you bring it down. If you think about it, it's also a very functional movement, because since we were cavemen, probably we had to lift things up and down, right? And imagine lifting like a boulder above your head and throwing it. It's all just overhead pressing and squatting, and it's actually very much healthier than on your shoulder joints and on your rotator cuffs than a strict flat bench press, which has your posture caved in. A lot of you right now might be thinking, but what about the seated dumbbell press? Everybody I see in the gym is sitting down on this bench and doing the dumbbell. Look, it's the second best one. Don't get me wrong, it's a very good exercise. The problem with the seated version, I feel, is that a lot of the time you end up arching your back and you start making it into some form of incline bench, and I don't know, it doesn't engage the shoulder muscles as well, in my opinion, as the overhead press. And the real reason why the overhead press is the king is because you're doing it standing and you're engaging your entire body. If you do an overhead press properly, you're engaging your core, you're engaging your obliques to stabilize so you don't fall off. You're engaging, obviously, your shoulder muscles, your back muscles so that you don't, fall forwards or fall backwards, and your glutes and your legs so that there are no energy leaks while you perform the press. It is probably the single best exercise you can do for your upper body. The shoulder has three muscles, right? The front, the medial rear. If you think about it, when you do any kind of pressing movement, usually the front side of your shoulder gets activated. When you're doing bench press, incline bench press, even the overhead press, it really works the front delt. And the rear delt gets worked when you do a lot of rows and pull-up. When you do rows or pendlay rows, bent over rows, bench assisted rows, you are actually engaging the rear part of the shoulder. But the lateral head, the middle of the shoulder, that muscle is the one that kind of goes neglected, and that's what gives you that width from the front. The end of your workouts, you do lateral raises, which are probably the most important shoulder pump isolation exercise for the aesthetic proportion, trying to get that V-taper look. Because when you see someone from the front on, if you have a lateral delt that's developed, it's going to make you look wider. A lot of people just focus on how do I make the shoulders bigger, but what you should focus on also is how do I have the right posture that my shoulder becomes a feature that is good on my body, right, in an aesthetic sense. And that's posture. And the reason why most people are like this, including me, by the way, sometimes like my posture is like I find myself like a little bit caved in, and the boxers are like the most exaggerated versions of this because they're all caved in. Like, this is not a good look. It's an anxious getting ready for a fight look, whereas a relaxed, opened up chest, this screams confidence, this screams relaxed masculinity. That's what you're trying to go for. The way you do that is by working on the muscles in the back of your body, your back. When we speak about shoulders, that would be the rear delts. So you want to train your rear delts so that not only your shoulders have this 3D, well-rounded, all equally developed look from all angles, but it also opens up the posture so that you look very nice and also very attractive, because you'll be much more confident with that posture. One of the most functional and amazing exercise that you can do to increase your overall health, reduce your risk of injury, plus develop your rear delts is the face pull. Athlean X was the guy that came out with this face pull version where you open up your rotator cuffs like this. This is the way to do it, because most people do face pulls like this, right? I guess it's okay, but it's not that great because you're not killing two birds with one stone. Look how your shoulders are internally rotated all the time as you pull. Instead, you want to think about poking someone behind you, two stalkers behind you, with your thumb, right? So you go like this, bam, poke them, bring it in, slowly poke them, bam. And how do you do it? By connecting two cables to the machine and then just pulling like that. Internal to external rotation of the rotator cuffs, one of the most functional parts in the upper body that you need to be training. Remember how I talk about the importance of hip flexors in the lower body for your overall health and functionality. Don't neglect the rotator cuffs in your upper body. Just because you don't see them doesn't mean you shouldn't train them. The science suggests that you should train each body part twice a week. That's the optimal way, 15 to 30 sets twice a week. That's the optimal range of growth. And then people get really psyched out because they're like, I'm not optimizing. I need to hit it twice a week. I need 2 shoulder days. To be honest, if you really just wanted to build big shoulders, that's all you cared about, yeah, you should focus on training your shoulders twice a week. But as I preach on this channel, if you're not a fitness obsessed person that's living hours in the gym, fitness takes up 90% of your brain in daily life. If you're not that guy, you have other hobbies, you have other assignments, other things that you're doing, then that's just gonna burn you out. You're gonna hate going to the gym, you're gonna burn out, and you're gonna get stressed from thinking about hitting each body part twice a week and all this. This is another reason why you should focus on compounds, because with compound movements, you can hit your chest and your shoulders at the same time. When you're doing incline bench, you're hitting your shoulders. When you're doing overhead press, you're hitting your abs. When you're doing a bent over row, you're hitting your abs, your back, but also your rear delts. That is the no BS way to actually grow your shoulders to an amazing shape. All right, guys, I hope that helped. And if this, if this kind of content, if you like that, let me know in the comments, and also subscribe and tell me what you want to see more of in this channel. And for those of you who are super serious and you're like, I resonate with this guy, I want to learn from this guy, I want to see what I can do in terms of building the most aesthetic version of myself, plus I want help with everything to do with dieting and stopping binge eating, and I want to get my mindset on track so all this is effortless, then I just recently released my coaching program for those of you that want to work closely with me. So I'll leave that in the link below. You can check that out. If that's not your cup of tea, that's totally cool. You can just apply what I've just said in this video, then you'll have the bolder shoulders in no time. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.